kind of cool that they still have the old logo up there. The one that actually looks like a train operator instead of a bank. All right, welcome back to another video. I'm standing at Birmingham Intermodal in Birmingham, Alabama, again. And I'm taking the eastbound Amtrak Crescent train today out to Atlanta. And this is just going to be more of a trip report style video. And the reason I'm making it is sort of just to highlight that some states don't do that well when it comes to sort of unfairly benefiting from Amtrak long distance service. Like, they get a bunch of middle of the night service or something like that. But actually, Alabama does pretty well in the sense that everything from here is timed decently. This train is scheduled for 5:24 p.m. And in general, all three of the train stations in Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, and Anniston, are served at pretty reasonable times by both directions. And so it almost serves as like another bus trip between the cities on its corridor. And so basically, yeah, it benefits a lot. It doesn't have to pay a dime into this because they're long distance routes supported by the federal government. But it kind of benefits more than it should in some ways. It almost gets a free bus service. So I just wanted to make a video about this. I'm going to be taking this out to Atlanta. The on-time performance of this route got significantly better after Norfolk Southern was sued for allowing too much freight train interference on this route. And so it used to be late all the time. Back when I was in Alabama for college, I used to take this train quite a bit back and forth to Atlanta. And it was often like 80 or 90 minutes late. Nowadays, it's usually on time, actually. And in fact, today, it's on time. They haven't adjusted the schedule to account for the fact that it's on time more often, though. And so the train is going to be pulling in here probably like 45 to 50 minutes early, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm just standing outside to film this intro segment because I don't want to disturb anybody in there. As we get closer to the time that we board the train, I'll catch back up with you. So I'm over on the other side of the platform, and you can actually see the train pulling in right now. I had some very good timing on this one. I just caught the tail end of it pulling in. Anyways, I remember that at one point it was actually a concern that they were going to redo the schedule to increase the amount of padding because it was getting delayed so bad all the time. But now they may need to redo it to reduce padding, which is always good to hear. It's a little bit of a shame that you can tell that this train station was designed to handle far higher passenger volumes than it actually gets now. There's whole extra tracks here, but they don't connect to anything. Like, look down there, they just end at like a gravel pile. This has the bones of a great train station, especially with the intermodal facility attached. It's very funny how on this particular piece of livery they have helpfully told us specifically that this is an Amfleet 2, not an Amfleet 1. Unfortunately, it also has this horrible green color, which I hate so much. We're still approximately 25 to 30 minutes ahead of the official departure time, but they're letting people on, so I'm going to get on.
Take number 50, we'll go this way.
A little later.
Interesting, they were about a minute ahead of schedule.
Later.
What I find very interesting about this train because that coach class only has 3 cars, which doesn't feel like a lot. I guess there's an equipment shortage though. We're getting cafe car food because we have to do it. Everybody knows when you ride Amtrak, you have to get the mac and cheese. So we are approximately 1 hour and 50 minutes into the trip. And yeah, I didn't really film much at first. I was mostly just sitting in my seat. Also, it was kind of hard to film because I had an aisle seat and I didn't really want to disturb my seatmate too much. Also, there wasn't really much interesting to see either. But we are pulling up on Anniston, which is the only stop between here and Atlanta. I haven't been sitting in the cafe car for 2 hours. It just happens to be that I'm here when we're pulling into Anniston, which is fortuitous for me and my chance to film stuff. So that's the train station. I had to shift over seats. I was sitting over there. The platform obviously isn't long enough to fit all the long distance cars out here too. Just the front ones. So there's a nice cafe in there. I've been in there before. And No Miles in Transit came out here and made a video about Anniston. What's also nice is they incorporated the Greyhound stop right in front. You can sort of just see that over there. We are now moving as I show you a rather comical shot of trash cans placed in the reserved for passengers with disabilities slot. And I guess we're stopping to let the long distance passengers out. And on the right hand side of the train, we have freight vehicles. And we are moving once again. Oh, look at that. That freight train goes on for a while. Of course, we got to get a shot of the tracks. Now, to be totally fair, it's a little unfair for me to be doing a trip report about a trip that I've already done several times. Oh, we get to look at all the nice shopping centers and stuff out the window. But anyway, yeah, so I've done this before. I've gone from Tuscaloosa to Atlanta and back several times while I was in school. But of course, the reason for that is precisely because the train stops in Alabama are really, really well timed for just using them as intercity service. And that's not common for long distance routes, especially when all the stations in the same state are all useful. There's a lot of states that completely get shafted, like Ohio. I must say, it's interesting how the third car is barely loaded. It's too dark, can't see anything out the window. Vaguely interesting observation from just kind of walking around, because it seems like the first car is allocated mostly to people going to destinations on the Northeast Corridor. The second car for Atlanta, and the third car unallocated. Let's check out the bathroom. Somebody had a bit of a spill there, I guess. Maybe we should find another one. I think this one looks a little better. I had a bit of trouble closing this door though. Nothing out of the ordinary. Bathrooms look pretty similar on Northeast Regional trains, of course, because these are all Amfleet cars. So, all right.
A little later.
Oh, coincidentally, just as I'm finishing up my bathroom review, we're crossing into Georgia. I'm just going to make my way back to my seat and relax for a bit. Just a quick update. I think we're about an hour out. The big problem with this part of the route is that the tracks kind of twist and turn and wind through a bunch of small towns. And so, like, our speed here is going to average like 30 or 40 miles an hour, which really kind of sucks and unfortunately means that, like, unless the Greyhound bus happens to be, like, routed through Gadsden, which some of them are, taking a Greyhound bus is usually going to be faster than taking Amtrak, which is kind of lame. But Amtrak's more comfortable, so I got that going for it. As we come in on our final approach into Atlanta, we start passing through a massive freight yard owned by Norfolk Southern called Inman Yards. I don't know if you can sort of get a sense of just how many freight vehicles are out there and how many tracks there actually are with how dark it is outside. And the fact that the camera doesn't really want to focus on anything but the reflection. Okay, we've arrived in Atlanta. Funny thing is, we actually pulled in. Well, we almost pulled in. We pulled kind of almost up to the station about 15 minutes early, and then we had to wait for a freight train to pass, go in the other direction, and then we pulled in, so we ended up getting in exactly on time. But yeah, we're here. The scheduled arrival time in Atlanta is 11 o'clock Eastern. So we left Birmingham at 5:24 p.m. and we got to Atlanta at 11. But you also have to consider that because we crossed into Eastern time, that looks like 1 extra hour than it actually is. Now, of course, the Atlanta train station is really small, almost pitifully small. For a metro area of several million people, this being the train station is pretty embarrassing. I know that there have been some limited discussions by the city about maybe finding a new site for a downtown train station, but obviously that's not materialized just yet. And there's also some consideration for a second state-supported Amtrak route in the state that might extend all the way maybe even to, I believe, Chattanooga. But obviously we live in the year 2025 and not 2075. There's actually a hotel really close to the train station that I've stayed at before and I'm staying at again. It's actually, you can see it from here as I'm crossing over this bridge, over this massive highway that should not be here, but it is. It's that Motel 6 over there. Some people think Motel 6 has a bad reputation. I actually think it's generally fine. You just have to read the reviews before you stay. It's probably the most affordable way to stay in a hotel in most places. I really wouldn't actually shy away from it as much as maybe some people might. But anyways, that was just a quick overview of, sort of not abusing long distance rail. I mean, they had a whole train car full of people getting off in Atlanta, and I'm pretty sure not all of them came all the way from New Orleans, where the Crescent route begins. So I'm sure that more people use it to go to that intermediate stop than you would think, and I'm sure maybe part of the scheduling decisions were made because arrivals into Atlanta would be convenient. But anyways, yeah, Alabama benefits a lot from having the Crescent there, especially connecting Tuscaloosa to Birmingham and then Birmingham to Atlanta. The timings are decent. It's a bit slow, but I think perhaps that's worth it in lieu of taking a bus. So, yeah, I mean, it's a decent way to travel. Traveling westbound out of Atlanta, it leaves at 9 a.m., which is perhaps a tad early, but overall, yeah, I recommend it, especially since it's on time more than it used to be. Anyway, unfortunately, I have to go past the hotel to this light in order to cross, but anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time. Bye.